we present Fallout by Patrick O'Connor.
I realised when my husband Christy passed away, I had no friends of my own. I couldn't seem to make any. What saved my life was the garden. Gardening had always been Christy's thing, but I kept it going as a memorial. It was like he was still at my side when I was planting the carrots and broccoli, or doing the weeding, or watering the flowers out the front. Then I started to enjoy it for its own sake. Me and Christy were the first on the avenue. They were still building the other houses when we moved in. We got to know everyone. We were in and out of each other's houses, helping out with the kids and fixing what didn't work after the builders were gone. It's all changed now, of course. All my old friends and neighbours either dead or moved away. When Christy died, the incomers actually avoided me whenever I set out with my shopping bag, busy with their mowing or washing their cars, or hurrying by with just a nod. So the garden was a great comfort. But there were still days when the loneliness was like a knife in my heart. One day, in spring, the postman knocked at the door and asked could I take a parcel for the woman opposite at number 54. It was too big for the letterbox and she wasn't answering. I said I'd be happy to and signed for it. The name on the parcel was Mrs. S. Yamashita. I'd been curious about her for a long time, but I kept it to myself. Christy's granddad had been a prisoner of war in the Far East and was very bitter about it. Christy grew up with all those stories about the Japanese in the war. He wasn't inclined to talk to them. She was younger than me, her children still at home. But like me, she was on her own. Had been for over a year. I'd no idea then what happened to the husband. Anyway, when the parcel came, I was excited to have the chance to introduce myself and perhaps invite her over for tea, like we did in the early days of the avenue. When she was back from picking up the children from school, I went across with the parcel. I rang the doorbell and waited. I could hear her and the daughter talking quite loudly. It was odd. She was speaking in Japanese and the daughter answering in English, and in quite a strop, I have to say. And just when I was thinking, oh dear, I'm not ready for this, the door opened and all of a sudden there she was. So close I could smell her perfume. Her face had a slight frown, but it was young-looking and pretty. Sorry to bother you, Mrs. Yamashita. This parcel came for you when you was out. Thank you, she said. That's very kind. I hope it was not a problem. Her English sounded very good. But before I could get my invitation in, she was closing the door. Oh, I said. Yes, she said. So I got in quick. Would she like to come over and have a cup of tea any time to suit? She looked sort of puzzled, and just then her son shouted from inside, "That's mine, give it back. Tell her, Mum, Mum." "Oh, not a good time, is it?" I said. "Sorry." And she said, No, thank you. But please, you must come to me. You are the lady with a most attractive garden, yes?" "Mrs. Scamp," I said. "Kath." "Tomorrow?" she said, and she gave me such a nice smile that I forgot to be offended. That's how it started. And when it stopped, I was so sorry.
In the difficult time after my husband Taro left the family, Kath Scamp was, for a short time, my gardener. In my old way of thinking, I mistook her offer of assistance as a mark of her class. It appeared to suit us both. I needed the help, and she had time on her hands. She refused to consider payment. She was evidently very capable, so I accepted, despite my reluctance to engage a near neighbour. My trust in her was broken, however, when I suspected she had taken some ornaments from my living room. Mrs. Scamp said nothing in her own defence and cut herself off from me. She is a very proud person. I know this now and admire her for it, but at that time I did not understand. When I discovered later that my son Ricky had taken the ornaments to school for a project, I had it in mind to apologise. But, well, I was experiencing troubles of my own, and time passed.
I was woken in the early hours that Sunday. A blackbird was singing its heart out. It wasn't even dawn yet. I lay there for a while, stupid thoughts buzzing, like no one cares whether I live or die. When it was light enough, I got up and made some tea. I took it into the front room and pulled the curtains back. I glanced across the road to number 54. There was something odd about their front lawn, like a shadow that shouldn't be there. It was her husband's body, hanging under the apple blossom.
Back from the school run, I was alone in the house when the doorbell rang. It was Kath, come to express her condolences, the only neighbour to do so. I invited her in. Despite my anxiety about what our renewed acquaintance might bring, we were soon in earnest conversation. We spoke of family, of memories, of things better forgotten or let be. But there was still a great wall between us. When we began to speak of loved ones outside of family, she said she had only one friend. She said it without self-pity. In fact, there was a hint of anger in her voice. Finally, I understood. I saw all the ways I had misjudged her, the hurt I had caused. She started to cry, and soon we were both crying like abandoned children, each in the other's embrace, crying for all the wrongs in the world we could do nothing about, crying for the pain life had brought us both. Today, Kath and I watched together as Mr. Obama made his speech in Hiroshima. He said, "The souls of the dead are asking us to think about who we are and what we might become." Kath was very quiet. Later, it was sunny. and we sat in the garden.
I can't imagine it. All that horror.
Well, those grainy photographs and films are so distancing, so impersonal. But, of course, it has real meaning for me. One of my great-uncles and his second wife lived in Nagasaki. They died. Not from the blast, but slowly and painfully from the fallout. The rosemary over there is in their memory.
Suzu, can I ask you something about your husband?
Of course, Kath, please. You can ask me anything.
About his suicide. Was it because he felt some sort of shame?
About what the papers called his business failure? No, they were wrong about that. But I will tell you everything. First, more tea. Because of many errors my husband had made, it had cost the company a lot of money, and it led to his dismissal. But this was not why he killed himself. For a reason I did not understand, he had begun to drink. The more he drank, the more things went wrong for him. He also became increasingly aggressive towards me. It's difficult to believe now how much he changed over perhaps a year. One day, he suddenly accused me of being unfaithful. He began to threaten me, pinning me against a wall, shouting obscenities, his hands at my throat. I could smell the alcohol on his breath. His face was red and ugly. I no longer recognized him as my husband.
Unbelievable.
Well, it's true.
No, I mean, I can't imagine. Didn't he talk to you about his problems? My Christie never lost his temper with me, not once in 35 years.
Well, yes, I tried to get him to talk, of course. But it resolved nothing. It felt as if he were always keeping something back, or something he couldn't admit to himself. Meanwhile, his violence continued, and I began to fear for the children, since they were protective of me. Finally, when I could take no more, I confessed my unhappiness to my parents. My father, whom my husband revered, told him to leave.
Oh, that must have brought him to his senses, surely. I should hope he apologised.
No. He did as my father asked and went home to Japan. But then, something extraordinary happened. I had a long-distance phone call from his mother.
Suzu, it is Okasan. I have to speak to you. It's Okasan? I wish you no disrespect, but you must know that my marriage to your son has ended. He is not our son. What? Listen, Suzu. This is not easy for me, but let me explain. We love Taro and we always will. But he is not the child I gave birth to. Okasan, don't be silly. What are you saying? There was a mix-up at the hospital. Tara and our son were swapped by mistake by the nurse who had taken the two of them for a bath. When we finally found out, Tara took the news very badly.
Okozan and I spoke for an hour, at the end of which I angrily put the phone down on her. Such nonsense! What did she take me for? Yet, over the following days and weeks, I began to come to terms with the facts about Taro as she had relayed them to me. Taro was really the child of a family living in a poor area of Nagasaki. Had he been brought up by them, he would not have had the same chances he enjoyed with my parents-in-law. He had an excellent education. Otozan Yamashita secured him a place as an apprentice engineer with Mitsubishi. He rose steadily through the ranks until he was made a divisional chief executive in France, the youngest CEO in the company. The other boy, the Yamashita's real son, could find only the most menial work. Later, he was obliged to give up even that to care for his parents, both of whom suffered ill health and disabilities. But when he found out about the swap, he sued the hospital for depriving him of a more fulfilling life. It was national news. He was awarded millions in compensation.
It's like a fairy story.
Yes, stranger than fiction. It was 2 years ago that my husband learned the truth about his natural and adoptive parents. He was deeply affected. Taro had always felt totally deserving of his comfortable life, as a reward for loyalty and hard work. He found it difficult to accept that he might equally have suffered a life of great hardship.
But even so, it still went wrong for him.
Yes. It was then that he began to drink and to make stupid errors at work. After his dismissal, he became reliant again on his adoptive parents. His sense of entitlement was completely shattered. And he could not own up to the truth, to himself, let alone to me.
Weren't you shocked when his body was found? You seemed so calm in the following days.
Well, it was not a complete surprise. You see, some weeks before, he wrote to me. He was wretchedly sorry for the way he had treated us. He hoped I would forgive him, but said my forgiveness would not be enough. He had to pay for his faults through an act of repentance. I knew what he meant. I thought only that he would carry out his intention in Japan. My more immediate concern was how his suicide and all the publicity surrounding it would affect the children. I was desperate for Ricky and Kim to finish their education here.
How are they coping?
It could be worse. Taro's death has brought us closer together, particularly Kim and me. Ricky has been suffering from, well, you could say, the fallout. Cruel comments in the school corridor, online bullying and so on. He tells me he's fine, but I worry for him.
Suzu, I'm afraid I have to go.
Oh! I am so pleased we talked, Kath. I've never spoken about Hiroshima or the affairs of my family to an English person before.
Oh, come here.
Would you forgive me?
What for?
Everything. My mistrust, my stupid accusation, being so blind to your wish for friendship.
Oh, Suzu, it doesn't matter now, does it?
It was a clear night as Kath finally left. I stood on my doorstep and watched as she crossed the road. She opened her front door, turned, and waved. I waved back. She laughed I realised I had never heard her laugh before.
In Fallout by Patrick O'Connor, Kath was played by S.J. Vant, Suzu by Heleth Hart, and Okozan by Jane Pulford. It was produced and directed by Jim Newberry, with all sound effects magic created by the masterful Robbie Burgess. It has been a joint venture between Uptick Productions and the Chatting Tracks podcast.